Aloha and welcome to this video. I want to talk to you about what is a solar return. So this is a video for beginners, and because we are beginning to explain an astrological concept here, there may be some astrological terms that I use. I'll do my best to explain them and make them as clear as possible for you. If you have any questions about what I cover, feel free to leave that in the comments below. So I had some questions. My birthday came the other day, and I had some people were asking me because somebody said happy solar return, and I said, well, actually, this year my solar return was the day before. And they said, well, wait a minute, what's the difference? Okay, so why should we even care about solar return first? Would you like to know the theme for your year? Would you like to know what's coming? When we anticipate something, we can navigate it easier. If we can foresee it, we can navigate it. If we want to make conscious that which is often hidden from view. So knowing your solar return can actually help us to manifest our goals because we know which way to go on the path. If I have a 10-year goal, which I do, looking at the solar returns for each year of that 10-year phase is extremely helpful for me. It lets me know how my plan to achieve the goal fits from a year-to-year perspective. And then it's the astrology then that becomes a mile marker for me. So it takes the guesswork out of the way as to what the year will bring. So what is one? Well, it's similar to a birthday. So your natal chart, obviously in your natal chart, so your birth chart is a snapshot of the planets at the date, time, and place of your birth, right? So when the sun, as it goes around orbit, or actually Earth goes around the sun, when the sun in the chart comes back to the same degree, sign, and minute. So as I said, there's going to be some astrological terms because that is the definition of it. The minute is very important there. Degree, sign, and minute is a solar return. Basically, the Earth effectively returns to the same position in the sky in relation to the sun as it was when you were born. It's probably the one simple way to say it. The other one is the way I have here. A simple explanation of solar return, it's astrologically, it's either your birthday or plus or minus a day. It's either the day before the day or the day after. In certain situations, it could extend a second day. That's really, though, if you were like, depending on how solar returns are calculated, we'll get to that. If it's a new solar year for you, it is a new solar year for you, and it brings your theme to the year to fruition. A solar year is solar return, or we often simplify it as saying birthday to birthday. So if I have a client who's not really needing the astrological terms, I'll just say, okay, we're looking at your astrological year, or solar year, which is from birthday to birthday. It's plus or minus a day on each side. Well, that's what a solar year is. Given that my birthday is actually super close to the new year, it's nice that the calendar lines up with my solar return fairly often. So if I set a new year goal, it actually is a new solar year for me almost. So it's pretty close. Okay, so what do we do to look at, what do we look for in a solar return? We want to look at the house the sun is in, which is the obvious one that everybody talks about. But because this is rise above your chart and I want you to be able to do something with it, we also want to look at these other 2 points. We want to look at the easier one to say is the moon phase of the return. So in a relation from how far the moon and sun are apart is the moon, what phase is the moon in? That's new moon, crescent, first quarter, gibbous, full moon, disseminating, last quarter, or balsamic. They're not the astronomical moon phases, they're the astrological ones. This gives us a kind of another overarching theme that we get to use. In often around timing and timing and emotions, for the most part. The other one is a little bit difficult to say, but quite easy to demonstrate. So I do have an example of that we'll get to. And that's the house, the degree of the ascendant from the natal chart is in the solar return. It's a lot of words. So basically, if you take the ascendant from your natal chart, that's the degree, sign, and minute on the cusp, the beginning of your first house. It's at 9 o'clock on the clock dial, if you're looking at a tropical chart. And that you find that degree, sign, and minute in the solar return. And that it falls in another particular house. And that adds to another key data point for what energy is present during that year. So before we get into actually a demonstration as to how that works, I need to go over a very important point. What location do we use? We say that we need the date, time, and place, right? So we need to calculate, but what location do we use? In classical astrology, classical tropical astrology, we would use the birth location. In modern times, we use the location you were at the time of your solar return. So not the date of your birthday. So my solar return was actually on the day before my birthday this year. So we would need to use where I was on that date. So traveling is important. Moves are important. So if somebody says, hey, you know what, I'm going to take a trip for my birthday this year, and they're there plus or minus a day of their birthday, they were probably at that location for their solar return. Very important. If somebody was born on the other side of the planet and they migrate here, okay, the move is significant for their solar return. I prefer to use both. I prefer, it seems to work very well. What I think is in ancient times, people probably didn't move that far because they couldn't really get around as easily, and therefore the birth location was effectively where they were for their solar return. That's kind of my theory on it. And so why not use both? Where the energy returns to your birth location is going to be important. And therefore, I prefer to identify the energy present via the natal location. So the city, state, or city, country where you were born, and then apply it to how it's going to be used, how it's going to be applied in that year via the time, based on where you were at the time of your solar return. Okay. So, you know, I'm going over the details of this, but I kind of just do it in a reading. And so if you just want a reading where I just look at your solar return and give you the explanation, totally, I'll go over how to do that in a later slide here. But basically, I'll leave a link in the description below. Okay, so how do we determine a solar return? I generally am just going to use software. I'm going to calculate it by hand. You can approximate it using an ephemeris. I'm not going to teach you how to do that in this video. But you can look at an ephemeris and you can figure out where that'll be. What we do is we want to cast the chart, so create the chart for the date and time of when the sun will be back to the same degree, sign, and minute, and at the birth location and at where you were located on your solar return. Then we look at where the house the sun is in, both charts. Look at the natal ascendant, find it in the solar return chart, both charts, and then we blend the energies. This is why I highly recommend a reading for this. I mean, it's the super most basic solar return. Find the house the sun is in when your sun is back to the same degree, sign, and minute, and take that as an area of life and say, that's the theme. This is a much more precise way of doing it, though. And because we're rising above your chart, I want to give you a little bit more precision. So here's an example. So on the left, we have the natal chart. In the middle, we have the solar return chart for the birth location. And on the right, we have a solar return chart at another location. It's an arbitrary location. This is the sample chart. So I picked another arbitrary location. And we also have the moon phase of the natal chart on the left, the moon phase of the solar return on the right. The moon phase isn't going to change for the solar return because when the sun comes back to the same degree, sign, and minute, its distance from the moon is the same. In this regard, the moon phases are going to be different, though, potentially between the natal and the solar return. If the ascendant sign is the same or the moon phase is the same between the two, I sometimes like to look at that as the beginning of a new cycle for people, in addition to some other information. Okay, so let's look at how do we want to read this? Well, let's start by saying, where is the sun in the solar return chart. So in the birth location, the sun's in the 11th house. In the present location, the sun's in the 9th. 11th house, service, humanitarianism, groups. That's the energy that kind of wants to come in. How would we use it? Well, 9th house is truth and purpose and a spiritual path. Could be teaching. So maybe this person, this is an arbitrary chart, but maybe this person then is going to start either teaching groups or really begin to help groups find their spiritual path, find their truth. Could also be that they're being of service in a spiritual sense, spiritual service. So it gives us a couple of data points there. The ascendant now, so if we look at the natal chart, 19 degrees Sag, 24 minutes. On the birth location, that falls in the 6th house. On the, let's see, 19 Sag 24. On the present location, it falls in the 4th house because we calculate around the zodiac through the houses in order. So we go counterclockwise around the wheel. So the, okay, so the 6th house in the birth location, which is daily habits, work, but it's not career. It can also be service actually to some degree, but daily habits is a good one. And the 19, so 4th house in present location. This then tells me that what the person does from a daily habit perspective at home, 4th house, is going to be play a role in it. So this explains a little bit about how the person's home life is going to support the work they do between what the sun is asking for. So if the sun is asking for service on a spiritual path or teaching groups spirituality, then it's also going to be important that the person's roots or their home has a level of their habits there support that. Usually if I'm talking to somebody about this, they'll know exactly what I'm referring to because I'm using language that speaks to the energy that they're feeling or experiencing. Okay. If this sounds like it's like, oh, I don't even know, that wouldn't be me. It's like, well, this isn't your chart. Okay. So if it sounds like it is you, then maybe you have some similar configurations to the sample chart. Okay. The moon phase then comes in. Now, natal first quarter moon phase, solar return, new moon phase. So first quarter moon phase is the builder, is looking to grow, but there is a direction, there's a movement that's blocked. And so they're overcoming those blocks. They're being able to take their light and allow, because they're coming from a crescent, they're moving to a gibbous, like going through the phases. So they're taking that light that's shining and it's showing what the blocks are that are up ahead. And then as they continue to shine their light, they're able to begin to build and begin to move outward. Now, the moon phase from a solar return perspective is awakening to a new cycle, if it's a new moon here. Spontaneity, it's instinct, it's acting instinctual, much more unconscious, and there's much more an identity around self. It's a new cycle, new beginning. So for people that have a solar chart like this, would I say that the new moon is necessarily a new cycle for the individual? I tend to say that if the moon phase is the same with the natal chart, but if it's a new moon, it's a new, it's doing something new that is going to help this person grow and resolve those outward blocks, right? What the first quarter natal moon phase is saying. Okay, so I would tell this person, look, if there's something, you've been stuck on something for a while, you know, maybe this is stepping outside your comfort zone on something. Maybe this is taking a chance with something. Maybe this is, I mean, heck, maybe it's working with me on a process to handle a problem. You know, doing work that, you know, that's not something he's done before, he or she. So maybe the person says, you know what, actually having this call with you is helping me get unstuck, and talking about astrology is new to me. Okay, maybe they're already feeling it, right? So there's opportunity there to then blend that in. So then what you see is how the sun houses the ascendant from the natal into the solar return and the moon phases all tell a story. So I have a pretty good idea, and if I could ask this person questions, I would have an even better idea as to how the energy will play out for them. Okay, so now that's only one set of things that we do to look at. That's how we look at the solar return. Okay, that's just the solar return itself. There's more that I do. So let's just recap how to do a solar return. Cast the chart for the date and time in each place, birthplace and where they're located. Look at the house the sun is in, look at the natal ascendant, find the solar return chart. Blend the energy present in the birth location with that as to where they are at the time of the solar return, and also do the same thing for the moon phase. Now, again, that's the process for solar return. If you want a reading, I do a look ahead reading. Okay, this is a new year. Maybe it's a new solar year for you, maybe it's not, but it's still a new year. And even if you're listening to this after the new year, totally okay. The solar return is just one thing I look at in a look ahead reading. My readings are an hour and a half. And so we look at the solar return, and I actually look at the last few because I want to understand the energy movement through the last few years to better understand its projectile into the next few. I'll look at the outer planets and the core themes for the year for you specifically. So looking at Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and where they are in your chart for the year, because they tend to move very slowly. And so their presence in your chart for the year tells some good information. Look at your progress chart, which is your soul development, spirituality, but also key major shifts that might occur. Man, the number of things that I can time with a progress chart, pretty crazy. There's a lot that we can look at from a progress chart perspective. It's instrumental in timing. And we'll look at lunations, so new moons and full moons, which when you lay all that together, so I tend to start with the progress chart sometimes and the outer planets. Then we look at the solar return. We look at the lunations. The lunations, the new moons and the full moons, as they go through the year, they start to tell you, they overlap and they go around the wheel. And so that tells me, where's the energy starting this year? In what area of life? In what projection? And then how does it move around the wheel? Where will it wrap up at the end of the year? So we can look at a look ahead reading for 2022. We could look at a look ahead reading from solar year to solar year. So there's a lot of different ways we can do this. If you have a goal you're working on, we can overlay that goal on top of the look ahead reading for how the energy plays out towards manifesting that goal and that kind of thing. So this is how we can get really good at timing. So each one of these would take some time to explain. Obviously, the solar return explanation still requires the astrologer to blend what you see and to have the language behind it. So that's everything that goes into what I do when I just do a solar return. And a solar return is one of several things that I put into a look ahead reading. So if you'd like to schedule a look ahead reading, I'll leave a link to the description below and we can do that. So be sure to like this video. If you have any questions or need any clarification, feel free to leave a comment below. And if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that you never miss out. If you like this video and like to see more like it, please do subscribe. Definitely helps the algorithm get the information out to more people and help more people become empowered. So with that, aloha, ahui ho. I'll talk with you again soon. Take care.